Hi guys, welcome back to the Drive Life channel. In today's video I'm going to be talking about driving the Volvo and why you should invest in sort of learning to become a better driver. So this is all come about. I made a previous video similar to this, talking about the IAM process, the History of Advanced Motorists, that I was sort of embarking on it, and we were going to sort of feed back the process of what I've learnt about sort of driving the S80, etc. So let's get into it. We're in the beautiful town of Llandrindod Wells in mid Wales, an old Victorian town. I thought it would be a good place to have a drive around and talk about this sort of thing. So I started my IAM course back in, well, I think I officially signed up in May last year, so it took a fair while, just because COVID pretty much put a stop to it completely. So fortunately I have had quite a bit of driver training in other roles that I do as well, so I wasn't missing out, if that makes sense. So it was more of a case of having a few observed drives and then booking the test. So that's what we did. Unfortunately I passed with the top mark of all ones, which is called a first pass. So that was good. So I think there's so much that goes on with driving nowadays. A lot of people take driving for granted. They get in the car and they switch off, and I think that's quite a dangerous thing. I think that's why we see a lot of accidents nowadays. People don't think actively about their driving. They're not trying to perceive risk. They're not trying to make the most of each drive. They just want to get from A to B. And for me, driving is something that is a relaxing pastime. I enjoy it. It's something that I want to learn about, so hence why I went through it. And I think it really does teach people a huge amount. And chances are, if you've bought a Volvo, you want to be safer, you want to be more comfortable, and that's what this advanced driving teaches you. So a lot of it is about smoothness, mechanical sympathy with the car, which is obviously not only better for driving comfort, but also for the car as well. So there's definitely some gains to be had there, especially with the fuel economy. So what I'm planning to do is do a mini series on sort of the fundamentals of it, so you guys can practice and see if you're interested in it. And we'll talk about now what sort of stuff. So it runs on something called the system of car control, which is called IPSCA. It's the same thing that the police use in roadcraft, and it's information, positioning, speed, gear and acceleration. And it's basically how you do these things and what sequence you do them in as you come up to any hazard or junction, etc. So yeah, it's quite an exhaustive, or quite a comprehensive look at driving, and you perfect these over a number of observed drives with an observer, to better your driving style. So like I said, I've had a lot of training of this previously, which was very helpful, but I think for a sort of normal driver who's never really had any driver training other than their driving test, I think it would be definitely well worth you doing. So we're going to put it into perspective here. We've got information's all the way around us. We've got give way, we've obviously got the signage, we've got a bend ahead, we've got cars approaching from the right hand side. So all of this is going to then inform how we position the car, the speed that we approach the hazard or junction, and the gear that we use, and now the acceleration. So as you can see, we're coming into a national speed limit. I'm going to increase my speed up towards 60 miles an hour. Not going to go that fast yet. As you can see, we've got quite a twisty road with a bit of camber. We've got a junction sign ahead and a slow marking on the road. So we've got sort of unseen dangers ahead. Now that we've cleared it, we can move up to speed. Now, one of the things that a lot of people don't sort of do when they're driving, I suppose, is not drive at the speed limit. A lot of people drive at the speed limit because they feel they have to, and that can not only create dangerous situations because it's an absolute limit. We've got horses on the right hand side here as well, but also it doesn't tell you the speed that you should be going for each corner. So it is, yeah, quite a bad habit, I think, that people have, is driving the speed limit everywhere, because it's not always appropriate. Now, this car in front obviously isn't driving at the speed limit. I'm doing 50 miles an hour and I'm catching up to him, so I'm not in a rush, so I'm just going to ease off and I'm just going to follow him at this speed with a nice bit of distance, because that gives me more time to react to him, and that comes down to your speed and positioning. So I'm maintaining a position back from the car in front, and I've got good visibility all the way around, and in order to do that I'm managing my speed and to maintain that distance. So it's all sort of ties in fairly easily. A lot of us do it subconsciously, but it's bringing that subconscious thought into the conscious mind that really improves your driving style, if that makes sense. So yeah, obviously gear doesn't particularly apply in my automatic car. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. So for those of you in a manual car, that'll apply more, but the acceleration for me is a big one. So what you'll find is you can essentially do one pedal driving if you drive properly. If you use the accelerator with a lot of foresight and planning. So for example, that was a bend, I eased off up the hill, it took enough speed off so I didn't have to touch the brakes, and then off we went. It's not a button, the accelerator, it's a very sort of fragile, sort of like an instrument, in the fact that every little input will have an equivalent output. So a small adjustment of the throttle will give a small adjustment of speed. So for example, I can speed up now, drop a gear, and I'll catch up to this car in front, and then I can brake. But that is a silly way of doing things. You're using unnecessary amounts of fuel, you don't need to use your brakes. It's just excess wear and tear on the car. Whereas if I approach the car from, say we're coming towards the back of the car, if I ease off the accelerator and go down to his speed, then that's absolutely fine. I'm going to have to use the brakes here because we've got a bend coming up and I'm making a bit of distance on the car in front. Yeah, so let me know your thoughts on what you think. I'll break it down. I think there's a few people doing this. Look at that lovely view on various channels, but I think it's always good to share it with you guys, so you can enjoy your cars more, because I find that once you implement these things, you get far more from your car. The last video that I made was said is the Volvo the perfect car, or the P3 Volvo platform perfect car. One of the things that gets you that driving enjoyment is being able to drive to the character of the car, and I think you can do that with the system of car control, etc. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you've done anything like this before. Let me know if you're a member of the IAM. That would be good. See how many of you guys are already members. But yeah, until then, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.